Hi, this is Mr. Franz, and today's lesson is about the concept or the idea of conflict in the things that we read. Conflict is, just to give you an idea what it is, it's when two things are struggling or fighting. So a struggle between two forces. And there are different kinds, and they're all sort of popping in now. My picture was covering the last one, but I'm going to go through them one at a time anyway. So what you need to learn today is the four areas or categories of conflict that in the books and in the stories that we read. So for example, the very first one, you can see the little video playing that shows an example down there, is called Man versus Man. Man versus Man is when two characters fight or argue. You can see these two characters fighting, I guess, right now. Now, you need to know something. All of these have another way to describe them. Instead of man versus man, sometimes it's called character versus character. Okay? So you need to know that. Man versus man, or same thing, character versus character. And you can see that's a very easy one to understand. You can think of an example right now. Sometimes we have a second one here called man versus nature. The character, you can see the man on the horse here riding, and the horse itself running, fight against nature. They are, these two people are escaping from a sandstorm that is building up in the desert. The sandstorm is the nature. The characters are the horse and the guy that is riding the horse. And just like the first one, this is sometimes called character versus nature. So let's go back one step. First one is character versus character, or man versus man. And the second one is character versus nature, sometimes called man versus nature. Here's the third one. I had a hard time getting a video for this one, but you can see a little clip down there. Man versus society. This is when a character fights their entire culture or society that they live in. It could just be a small thing, like a student against their school. Or, as it is in the example down here, this is a girl in the movie and book Hunger Games being dragged away, and she has to fight eventually against her entire country, I guess, that she lives in, the society that she lives in. So man versus society is the third one. We see that sometimes. We don't see it quite as often as the other two. Now the last one we'll see all the time. This one is called man versus self, or himself, okay, or herself. The character battles against their own thoughts and feelings that are happening up in their brain, okay? Again, that's sometimes called character versus self. In this image, you can see he kind of isn't supposed to take this thing, but he's very tempted. Look at that hand come up. He's very, very tempted to take it, but he doesn't. He doesn't, at least there. He might later, but he doesn't there. So let's take a look at them again, kind of all together here. Here's all four of them with the same videos playing. One is called man versus man. That's the simplest one. Character versus character, same thing. Two characters fighting. They could be yelling at each other instead of hitting each other. Two, I know it's weird because it's down here. Character versus nature, or man versus nature. The character is fighting against the world, nature things, natural disasters and stuff. Maybe a flood. Maybe you think of whatever, a fire, whatever it is, right? Three, character or man versus society. A character fights up against their whole thing. I'll give you another one for that one. A student that sits alone at lunch and feels like all of the students at school don't like them would be, if that was a story, that character versus their school's culture or society. You know, all the other kids and maybe the teachers don't pay attention to them. So that's one. For that, and then the last one, I know it's cut off with my face covering it, is man versus self, or character versus self. This is an image of a guy tempted to take a ring that he's not supposed to have, and that's kind of the last one. Those are the four. Why don't we take a look at the assignment that you're going to be assigned, and it's going to look like this. This is the conflict practice sheet for this year. Let me open it up nice and big. You can type on this document. So it's really just like an assignment that I might give you if you were in my classroom. You'd do it on paper maybe. Name goes up here. It says this. In the spaces provided, define each of the following. Okay, so tell me what man versus man is. Tell me what this man versus society and nature and self mean. You write those definitions over here. Down below, please give me one example of each of the following. One that is not in my video lesson. That's not in the thing, hopefully. Think of an example from a book, a movie, or a TV show of two characters fighting. It could be something that we read this year, like Esperanza Rising, The Lightning Thief, All Alone in the Universe, or a story like the stories that we've read. I don't know. It's really up to you. And then give me an example of each of them. On the second sheet, you're going to do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They are multiple choice. Read each description, and you can type into the little line area there. The letter is number 9, man versus nature, man versus man, versus self, or versus society. Read each one, A, B, C, D, whatever the correct choice is. Put it in. When you are done, you will have a turn-in button that I do not have. As a teacher, the teacher does not have the turn-in button, but of course you will. So that is the lesson, and that is also the assignment that you have right now for Tuesday. If you complete that, you're caught up.